Bom dia, Steven Braekeveldt, CEO do Grupo Agias Portugal. Bem-vindo às conversas digitais da Executive Digest. Esta entrevista vai ser realizada em inglês. Steven, thank you for being here. Steven, what are the main goals of the Agias Group in Portugal for this year?
Well, we have in Ageas, we have a plan up to 2030. There is a first stop in 2024, 27 and 30. So, but in the first plan of 2024, we have really defined what should be happening in 22, 23 and 24. And in 22, we're still preparing a lot of things on certain pillars, which are extremely important. No greenwashing, no blah, blah, blah on websites. So we moved in our new building in Lisbon. This is also already an example of the highest standard of sustainability with the certificates, but also we included a lot of social impact initiatives within our building. And so we walk the talk. We want to implement, to introduce within our products and within our processes, sustainability. And so we believe that in going that direction, that also our customers, that the Portuguese people more and more, they see what's happening. Alentejo is drying. All the fish are full of microplastics, etc., etc. So, as a company, we also have to take up our responsibilities in product design and in processes. So that's what we're going to focus on, next to many, many other things. But I could go on for hours, but that's not the purpose. I think. I think that as a country, as a population, as companies, we have been dealing quite well with this unexpected pandemic that we had. I can also see that in the employees are extremely satisfied the way we took care of them, the way we cooperated, the way we really were there every time they needed us. Of course, at certain moments, you see that the insurance business had some advantages because of the COVID, but at the same time, as it is a theater play, as I explained many times, which is played in many acts, you also see the negatives of the COVID environment. And what I'm telling is that, for example, in healthcare, during COVID, many people have not gone to the hospital for checkups, for oncology checkups, for all the kinds of things. And we do see a huge complexity of cases now because people did not follow what they should have done. And so it's more complex. In motor, people were afraid to take public transports. So many people have been buying second-hand cars, etc., etc. So while you would expect that the crowd, that people, the highways are less crowded, they never have been so crowded. I mean, if you take the circular, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, you're standing still. And so also the accidents are much more frequent than you normally think. So these are just the impacts of COVID. But you know as well as me that now we're dealing with another crisis, which is more important as well than the COVID crisis. So we go from one crisis to another, actually.
Okay, and what is the importance of the innovation in the insurance area?
It's huge. It's actually, I'm a preacher really of innovation. That is what it leads us to different domains. I think this is also what Portugal needs on a global scale, much more innovation. You have the people, they're very talented, they're very educated, and we need to develop in all the companies this element of creativity, of innovation. If you would visit, I mean, I invite you to come to our building, you will see that also the design of the building is made for people to meet, to break barriers, to find each other, to be creative, to have innovative ideas. And I think that's the future, because as we are not only an insurance company, but we're actually moving more and more towards being there when the important moments are there for our customers in their lives. And for that, you need much more creative ideas than only being focused on insurance alone.
Okay, and regarding AI, how is this technology being used in your business?
Well, it's gradually infiltrating the different areas of our company. I mean, you have the chatbots that are learning from themselves by the kind of questions you have. We have a symptom checker in the healthcare, which is also AI based. So we have robotics that are not yet the intelligent robotics, but just robotics yet for routinous handlings. So I'm not saying that we are at the top of the market in the insurance industry on AI. But what I do see is that also here the mentality is changing, and that you firstly want to take out the routinous aspects of the normal job and have the people use their brains and their creativity to do their jobs, and then gradually you go into AI in more complex processes. But it is a path we're on, and we're definitely still far from the end.
And in your opinion, what kind of problems are insurers currently facing that do not yet have a solution?
I think we're faced with a huge inflation risk, where we still have to see how we will adapt to that. There's an inflation risk which can eventually continue if our crisis in Ukraine continues, and that's on multiple facets. So I see it from a macroeconomic level. India was actually foreseen to replace Ukraine in the food and in the wheat to replace it, but due to the droughts, the whole harvest in India has also gone. So that means that the cost of living will increase a lot by the end of, I mean, it's gradually increasing already today, but I believe that in 2023 it will further increase. That means that the cost, for example, in healthcare, only the inflation on healthcare will increase. The cost for cars, the spare parts, anything you name it, is going to have an impact. And when you see that people on a current account, they get nearly close to zero, and that you have an inflation of 7%, actually the people are losing purchase power of 7% every year. What was worth 100 today, by the end of the year will be worth 93, and the year after will be lower. And so this is a huge issue that we'll have to adapt again, because it suddenly popped up because of the crisis in Ukraine. It was already coming very slowly into the society, the inflation, but now we have an exponential growth of this inflation. And so again, we'll have to adapt and see what are we going to do to handle all these impacts on the different business, not only ours, but in the total of the economy, and how will we handle that? And it's brain pain for the brain to see how are we all going to deal with that, and that's a new challenge for all of us.
And how important is culture and social responsibility for Ageas?
Well, I think it's not how important it is. It's just a synonym. I mean, Grupo Agias Portugal is about sustainability, about social impact, and this goes really along to the bottom in our DNA. We want this to be part of our genes, but a part of every reflection. Again, if you come to the building, you will see that our coffee corner is our partners are Café Joyeux. You will see that our restaurant is held by Crescer, which is another NGO. You will see that our vegetable gardens for the people are done by Simear. And so everything is not a kind of a theoretical something, but it's encrusted into the daily living environment of our company. And so we want to have reflections and also awareness. There's nothing wrong in selling a product which gets a 0 out of 10 on sustainability, but you have to be aware of it and increasing that awareness that there's nothing wrong to have a product which is 0 out of 10 in inclusion, but people have to be aware it's 0 out of 10, and increasing that awareness will make that people will be more conscious that we have to go much more towards products that score much higher in sustainability and inclusion. So I think it's a cultural change, and you know very well as me, changing the culture takes time. We're getting there. We're getting there, but it takes time to have everyone involved in that sense of thinking.
Yes, my next question is about how does your company intend to be more sustainable in the coming years? You have talked about the building.
Well, also I believe that we have to combine regenerative principles to profit principles, and so gradually, what you want to do is that growth for growth is not something that you want to achieve. You want to have growth with a purpose, and so your financial KPIs as well should go in that direction. I give you an example: investments. There's targets of our investments in sustainable investments. So that's one part of the equation. You have growth. You could say combine the growth with sustainable impacts that you can have. So having the financial targets just isolated and then say, this are financial targets. And by the way, this is the chapter sustainability. I don't think that will work in the future. They must be really made as one. And these KPIs must intrinsically hold already sustainable elements. And that's also the way we're going.
Stephen, I have a last question. What was it like to be CEO during pandemic? Has anything changed in your leadership style?
I mean, you probably should ask this to the people of the company if my style has changed, but I honestly can only think from my way of thinking. I don't think so. You know, maybe not a lot of people know, but when the pandemic started, you know, I mean, nobody was on the roads. So all the people in claims area or many areas, they were actually not doing a lot because, I mean, there were not many. And so what we did is immediately, and I think that's a little bit how I act as a CEO. I immediately contacted the president of the hotel association, and I said, "Can I get all the linen from hotels which you're not using?" And then I sat down with the sewing machine company, and I asked them, "Can I buy a lot of sewing machines at cost?" And so we became a textile company. So all the people who had free time, they were making mouth masks because Portugal did not have mouth masks. So nor in the nursing homes, nor in the hospitals. And at the end, we were producing 3,000 mouth masks a week. So, I mean, that's something which is, how do you act as a CEO? You're always looking at what can we do to help society because the people are there. We can do something, so act. And so act quickly with a purpose. And so that's the way I handle, I mean, normally within pandemics, whether, I mean, I was in a huge crisis in Mexico when I was there, I was in the Asian crisis. And so it's something that, you have to act. You cannot sit and wait. That's not acceptable.
Stephen, thank you for joining Executive Digest Digital Talks and also for revealing here the company's challenge for the future.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.